everyone, this is Catherine O'Connell and welcome to Lawyer on Air. If you are looking for inspirational stories about women in law, then this is the podcast for you. Join me and my lawyer ladies as we enjoy a glass of wine after a hard day at work and talk about the world of women in law. It's my passion to share stories of amazing legal ladies who are working as in-house legal counsel, who have law firm roles, who are leading on boards, and who are doing law differently. From time to time, I will also invite special guests on the show to share their insights on legal recruiting and tips for getting hired as a successful lawyer in Japan. I hope you will enjoy getting to know these amazing women who I am so proud to share a profession with. I'm glad you're here and I hope you enjoy the show. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Lawyer on Air podcast. In this podcast episode, I share with you another diverse story of a woman lawyer working in Japan. I'm Catherine, the host of the show, and I'm a lawyer based in Tokyo for more than 20 years, and I love helping unlock the wisdom of the stories that women never tell. What I've learned in my career so far is, if it's personal, it's also political. This is a slogan from the women's equal movement in the US. For women who suffer gender violence, it's not a personal problem only, it's actually political. You could have the same experience in your own life. So if it affects you and your rights, then it's a society issue. So that's what makes it not only personal, but political. Those are the words of Yumi Itakura. I'm so excited to introduce today's guest because she's not only a practicing lawyer, but a passionate feminist theorist who has dedicated much of her career to addressing issues such as domestic violence, workplace discrimination, sexual assault and harassment. She's an active advocate through her work with the Bar's Gender Equality Committee, and I'm really thrilled to have her on the show. Yumi runs Sakura International Law office and has been based in Tokyo for 20 years. She graduated from Tsuda University with a BA in International Relations and did her diploma at the Legal Training and Research Institute of the Supreme Court of Japan. She was also a visiting scholar dispatched from the Japan Federation of Bar Associations to the University of California, Berkeley School of Law to research about U.S. labor systems for gender equality in the workplace. On this episode, Yumi shares how her work supporting gender violence against foreign women in Japan is her true passion. And whilst many lawyers may find this kind of work stressful and shy away from it entirely, Yumi is happy in this work, and she's happiest when the fruits of her work result in a client recovering from a terrible violent situation. Yumi also shares some recent cases of violence that will open your eyes to another side of Japan that you may not believe could exist. You'll also hear her guidance on the 4 kinds of divorce proceedings in Japan and what not to select if you are 2 foreigners deciding to divorce. And Yumi also shares her favorite book, what she would do if she was not a lawyer, and wow, it's a fun job, and the amazing Hollywood actor who she would love to spend a day with. Let's get into it. Hello, Yumi, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
We're going to start with our opening question, which is the same every single time to every guest. If we were meeting up in person, where would we be? Do you have a favorite wine bar or restaurant that you love to go to? And what is your choice of beverage off the menu?
I want to rate the 2 bar located in Ginza.
2 bars. 2 bars.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One
Extra bonus. Thank you.
Yes, the one is a Lupin, and another is a Star Bar Ginza. I don't have the habit to drinking alcohol too much, but the atmosphere is great. That make me feel the history. Have you ever heard the very famous Japanese novelist named Dazai Osamu?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay, no problem. The Lupin is very famous for the place where the very famous picture of the Dazai Osamu. That picture was taken in that place, Lupin.
I see. And
yeah.
When you go to these places, what do you choose? Do you have something that you usually select from the menu, or do you change your mind every time?
The Moscow Mule recommendable. Moscow Mule?
The Moscow Mule, right?
Moscow Mule. The Walker
Oh,
base Walker and the ginger ale.
right. Okay. I don't even know if I've had a Moscow Mule in my lifetime.
Oh,
How boring am I? I usually
I
just
don't
go for
think
the
so.
same things. I have to try
Mhm.
something new. Thank you so much. That's really great. I'd love to go there sometime. And
Yes.
maybe we can call in Hiromi Shiraishi, who I know. She's a fantastic person who was on the podcast before, and she recommended you to come on the show.
Yes.
So thank you, Hiromi. Looking forward to seeing you again soon, and maybe the three of us can go together.
Yeah, yeah.
That
By
would
all
be
means,
fun, right?
Lupin. Let's go Lupin.
Okay, let's go there and get a picture in the same place where
Okay.
Daizai Osamu had his photo.
That's awesome. Yes.
Lovely. All right. Well, let's get back into the podcast. I want to talk about your career background and your current role. If you think back to when you were a child or maybe a young adult, do you remember what you were dreaming about for your future?
Yes. Looking back at when I was a college, university student, I don't have any specific career vision, but I just wanted to be independent economically. I don't rely on my partner and boyfriend economically. And also, anyway, when I was a university student, I majored in international relationship. That's why I wanted to get involved in some kind of a job relating to international relationship.
Right. What got you interested in international relations? What was it that made you think, oh, I want to study international relations?
Hmm. International relations is a very broad width of international relation, like the political issue and the geographical issues, the very vast range of the study area.
Yes, it really covers a lot of things in every single day. And I think it's a great background and a great basis for your future work that you've ended up doing. So you studied that. Then what happened next? Did you stay at university or what happened?
After graduating from my university, I started to work for the international distribution company, which is a affiliated company with Itochu Corporation.
I see.
But originally, I wanted to get involved in the media. I wanted to be a journalist, dig deep into the social problem, but I failed to do that. That's why I had no choice but working for that company. But unfortunately, that company is very, very male-dominant society. That's why I always uh, thought about how to break through that situation.
I see. So breaking through a male-dominated area
Yeah.
of work, but also wanting to do something with social problems. And even though it may not be through journalism, it's kind of what you are doing right now in your current work, isn't it?
Yes, in order
Yeah.
to break through that male-dominant society, I read a lot of book, including the book written by the female theorist lawyers. So when there's some of the groundbreaking cases involving our gender harassment, including the domestic violence and sexual harassment at workplace, those book inspired me to go move forward.
Right, I get you.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the highlights and the opportunities that came from then after studying and looking at these books. What happened next for you?
Yes, I decided to quit the company at that time and to focus on our studying in order to become the lawyer. Then after 5 years and studying, now I luckily passed the bar. Then I started my legal career.
Right. What?
2005, yes.
Right. So from international relations, you decided to do the bar. What made you decide to be a lawyer?
Reading the book.
The books inspired you.
Yes.
Oh, what was it about the book that you read that inspired you? Was it the way that the women lawyers did something? What was it inside that book or those books?
I was very inspired by the Tsuda Yukiko sensei and
Hmm.
Fukushima Mizuho sensei. That is what I wanted to be. That's why,
Right.
yes, that's why
It's
I decided.
amazing
Yeah.
when you see someone like in front of you, or you read about someone and it really grabs your heart
Yes.
and you decide your passion from that. I think that's truly amazing. And that's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
people writing about their life or their what inspired them, if they put that into a book and you read it, and one person, even you, decides to do something different or to try and follow their path, everything's worth it, I feel. So Tsunoda Sensei and Fukushima Sensei,
Hmm.
did they both do different kinds of law, or what did they do? Can you tell me a bit more about each of them?
Tsunoda Sensei and Fukushima Sensei as a both are very famous feminist lawyer.
Right.
Practicing the areas are almost the same. Mainly family law. I'm not sure that Tsunoda Sensei get involved in a labor
Wow.
field. Mm.
Okay. Well, it's really interesting that you've done this and that you've been inspired by them. I'm not a I don't know that I'm a feminist lawyer. I'm not sure what that is. Can you tell me what that is? What's a feminist lawyer?
Feminist lawyers are they would happy to devote herself to support the victim suffering from the domestic violence, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, etc., gender-related violence and discrimination.
I see. Well,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because I don't know that I would be a feminist lawyer in that precise definition, but because I'm
Mm,
openly on social media as a lawyer and I have this podcast, I'm
mm,
often somebody that people approach to
mm,
ask me about divorce in Japan, about custody of children, about
mm,
harassment. And it was terrible, the experience I had this year being asked to help a woman who was a victim of domestic violence
mm,
to help her get legal support. And I didn't know everything, but I noticed that within the Japanese and foreign lawyer community here of women, we finally found the right place for her to get some legal support for her and her children, and she's okay now. So, it's been on my mind a little while, and so I'm so glad for Hiromi to introduce you because I've got a series of questions to ask you today. And I think that this episode, as well as learning about your career, is going to be really helpful for people to understand these areas of law and life in Japan that maybe aren't so often talked about. I know they're a part of your life every single day and your work and your passion and devotion, but for others, maybe it's a harder topic to talk about. So I'm really glad that you are here and that we can talk about these today.
mm. I'm really glad to hear that.
Thanks. And so let's move in then to you've talked about the books inspiring you to become sort of specialized in this area
Mm,
of advocacy for
mm,
victims of gender-based violence, discrimination, as well as
mm,
labor law that you work in as well.
mm.
How has that helped you then? What experiences have you had that's really led you to continue to do this path?
Well, simply curiosity. Also, as I am a female
Yes,
before being a lawyer, that's why I always sympathize with my client suffering from the gender-related violence and discrimination. I never feel their client is my client or that I can share the same problem with my client. The client's problem is my problem also, as a being a woman. Yeah, personal is a political.
I see. So you take it on as a personal problem, as if you are also suffering that. You hold hands with them and believe it's your own issue as well to solve.
Yes, because I am a woman. Luckily,
Mhm.
I never experienced so terrible, the serious discrimination and violence related personally, but the all gender related discrimination and violence are the common issue among the women in the world, not only Japan. That's why I want to tackle this kind of a problem
Yeah, that's just
through the legal system.
so admirable.
I feel very happy when my client getting the recover from their predicament at the end of the case. Just for me, I'm not sure the other person, how the other attorney feel about dealing with the case, but I always work together with my client, and as a result of my commitment, my client can recover from the predicament. That is my happiness, I think.
Yeah, I think you're gifted because not many people can do that. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you, Yumi, for what you're doing and how you can be committed to that work because it's not the work that everybody goes into and it does take a
Mm.
special effort. And are you able to share anything that's recently happened that you've been able to help with?
I have a lot of cases. so, so there, I can find really difficult to select just only one case, but there are very impression cases recently. Ultimately, I haven't taken her case, but she is from one of the country of the South Asia. Her visa is a dependent visa that is strongly linked to her husband visa. Her husband is very rich and work for a very prestigious company in Japan. And his type of residence is a working visa. So the relationship in terms of visa, she cannot escape from her husband, even though she is suffering from the domestic violence from her husband. But she tried to escape from him and tried to come to my office for the legal consultation. But she cannot afford even the transportation fee because her husband controls everything. I tried to contact with her via telephone, but she is really afraid because her husband is close to her. She cannot answer to my phone, and ultimately, she gave up coming to my office.
So you're not really sure what's her situation right now, but this is
Mm.
quite common, even though the facts might be slightly different. But this is the difficulty with the visa being tied to the person who's inflicting the violence.
Yes, in addition to the visa, that she cannot give up the very rich life because I provide information that she can get help from the government, but the shelter provided from the government is very miserable situation for her.
Mm,
That's why she don't want to spend the time in that miserable situation.
I see. So
Hmm.
that's a kind of case that you haven't taken on, but has there been a case where recently you did help the person and they are now in a new situation?
For example, my one of the client, she is our industrial trainee from China. She faced sexual harassment, sexual abuse from the farm owner. I think that it is our criminal cases, but she don't want to report to the police because her visa was already expired.
I see.
She managed to come to my office and through the labor union to support, and she wanted to pursue the responsibility, the civil responsibility, claiming the damage compensation against our owner and our agricultural organization. But we have to think about her visa during the legal proceeding. She can switch to the another type of visa. Just temporary visa would not allow her to work during that period, just only 6 months. That's why this case ended up with the settlement through the court. The perpetrator paid just only 3 million yen as a damage compensation. But I think it is a really, really insufficient damage.
Yeah, compared to what she
Sorry.
suffered, right? You're
Yes,
right.
she is from the China, especially very rural area from of the China. 3 million yen is a very huge amount for her. But in
Mm.
the Japanese level, it is not enough to compensate her suffering, but it can be helped. But it's okay if she is really happy to accept
Yes.
that amount. Yeah.
And did she take that amount?
Yes.
Did she
And go
return?
back to,
She
yes,
returned
go
to
back.
China. Okay.
Yes. Yes,
So
yes.
that's pretty difficult situation. I know you're
Yes.
also involved in advocacy work through the Bar Association
Mm,
on the Gender Equality Committee. Have you found
mm.
some ways through the committee to try and do some changes or work
Um,
towards changes?
yes, our committee issues our annual report to be submitted to the CSW, one of the United Nations organization,
Yes.
to disclose the terrible situation in Japan, including the visa issue and foreign women's issue suffering from the violence.
I'm just wondering as I'm listening to you speak about how people can get access to this information if they've got language barriers.
Yes, especially the Tokyo Bar Association provide legal services specific for the foreigner
Hmm.
who does not speak Japanese. And
Yeah.
also, I think the U.S. Embassy and the British Embassy and the Australian Embassy provided information on the attorney at law who speak English. And also, I'm not sure the quality of the lawyer listed in that U.S. Embassy or the other embassy.
Right. It's such a paradox for me because Japan is full of omotenashi, looking after
Mm,
people, right, from the
mm,
heart. Yet on the other side of it, we see this happening. Why is there such a difference between a lot of helping people and
mm,
encouraging them and looking after them and going the next 100%, 120%? But in this
mm.
situation, the information is skunai, right? Scanned.
少ない。うん。
There's whatever they're giving is surface only, giving you information for a phone number. Why is it so under invested?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's really ridiculous.
If you could change something, two or three things, what would they be?
The Google,
Oh,
Google, just
Google.
Googling. Yes, because officer of the government, Japanese government don't understand what's happening on the ground. But there, on the other hand, there in reality, there is a lot of the very supportive organization, private supportive organization, and NGO are giving it a very help for foreigner.
I see.
Hmm.
Well, if you can give me those informations later, I can put them in the
Yes,
show.
yes, sure,
Yes,
sure.
thank you. And I know
Mm.
also, let's switch a bit here. You also help women who are going through eventual divorce and custody cases,
Mm,
especially
mm,
foreigners in Japan.
mm.
You've handled many of those. Can you tell me what that process is for divorce or separation? I do receive a lot of calls about this. It
Mm.
would be helpful to hear from you, perhaps the steps that people go through and why it
Mm.
might be different in Japan compared to other countries. Could you help
Mm.
explain that?
Yes. Now, under Japanese law, there is a four type of divorce, four way of divorce. There are consensual divorce, adjudication divorce, mediation divorce, lastly, the litigation divorce. Consensual divorce is a very unique system in Japan. That's why it would not take effect outside of Japan. So if you are foreigner and are thinking about the divorce, I recommend take the form of the mediation or adjudication and the litigation divorce.
I see. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
consensual would sound
Consensual.
like, yeah, would sound like to me the best way because
Mm.
we both agree and then it's done and it's finished rather than try
Yes.
adjudication, mediation, litigation. But you're
Mm.
saying that
Mm.
consensual may actually not be effective in a overseas jurisdiction. So if I took a divorce by consent to New Zealand, it may not be accepted.
I think so.
Yeah.
But most of the country, the
Mm.
divorce proceeding is required to court involvement.
Ah,
The
there you go.
consensual divorce is just sign, put your signature on the form of the
Mm,
consensual agreement paper,
I
and submit
see.
to the municipal office. That's all easy.
That's it. So that was accepted in Japan as divorce, but it's not overseas.
For example, the other day, the attorney in Washington, state of Washington in the United States consulted me regarding
Mm,
the Japanese couple living in Washington state. The couple are both Japanese. That's why they agreed to divorce and they signed a paper, form of their divorce paper, and they submitted to the Japanese embassy located in Seattle. But after the divorce, they filed lawsuits claiming the division of marital property located inside Washington.
mm, mm.
Then the court in Washington did not accept the Japanese divorce.
So what do they do in that situation? Do they have to have some adjudication then or mediation? At least make it some mediation where they have a court determined stamp or whatever they need in order to take things further. How
Mm.
do you sort out that kind of situation?
They have to start from scratch.
Scratch again.
Yes.
How stressful.
Yeah, how stressful.
And how
But the
a
judges
waste
don't
of.
care about the effectiveness
Oh,
of the Japanese divorce.
so I see. So that's what's happened with these people. They've gone to start from scratch.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm,
there you
mm.
go. Well, if we've learnt nothing else, it's very important to be very careful and understand the kinds of processes in Japan and what the effect is. Especially as a
Yes.
foreigner here, if you intend to be heading back to another country at some time,
Mm. Exactly.
then this makes a big difference.
Mm.
What is the situation then with pick one of those, adjudication, mediation, litigation? What's the most common of those, would you say?
Most of people started with mediation.
Okay. What's the
Yes.
process? What's the process for mediation?
Mediation means the mediator and our family court try to facilitate constructive, amicable agreement discussion between the two parties.
So one of the two people would ask the family court to help mediate.
Mm-hmm.
So if I filed something tomorrow, how long does it take for me to have my case mediated?
Depending on the case by case, our mediation is not to fighting each other, just to facilitate constructive discussion, try to reaching the amicable agreement. That's why some of the cases are finished within the 3 months, but the others are 2 years or 3 years, depending on the case.
When the family
Ah,
court receives the application, how
mm,
long does it take them to set up the first meeting?
maybe 1 month?
1 month.
Yes,
I see. And then it takes maybe 2 or 3 months after that, depending how the situation.
depending on the situation.
And what happens? Is it a court document that is issued?
Once the court accepts the application form from the plaintiff, then the court sends their summon and document, a related document to the opposing party, like the summon paper, and they designated the date and the time of the first session. And then opposing party also come to our court
Right.
on the
Yeah,
designated
I
time
see.
time
And
slot.
if it's amicable and they discuss and it's decided that they will separate, divorce, do they receive some document from the court to say you are now separated?
Document is really like the form of application. Very
Ah,
simple. Very
okay.
simple
Really
format.
simple. I see.
Yes.
And does this kind of case also involve a custody or is custody separate to divorce?
Legally separate, but that they can file their both of the issue at the same time.
I
The
see.
divorce and the custody and the other related issue like the division of marital property and damage compensation, etc., etc.
Right. So damage compensation, what is that?
Damage compensation for like the marital affair, the seeking the responsibility to break down the marital relationship.
Okay. Okay. So if they don't have a good discussion, if mediation is not working, is that when it goes to adjudication or litigation?
Not the adjudication. Adjudication is not so popular. That if both party fail to reach an agreement, the either of the party have to file the lawsuit, litigation,
Right.
claiming a divorce.
Okay. So what's adjudication then?
Before the filing the mediation or the using the any kind of the legal proceeding, they agree to divorce in itself and the other term and condition of the agreement. And but also they want to the certificate of the court of the agreement. Then they can file the adjudication. Adjudication where the judge render the judgment with the same content of the agreement outside the court.
I see. So how is that different to the consent?
Because for example, as I mentioned, the fallen couple want to proceed their divorce procedure, but the consensual divorce is not effective in their country. But adjudication, once they can obtain the adjudication certified by the Japanese court, that is our court involvement divorce. That's why they are likely to take effect in outside Japan.
Right, I get it. So if you're foreigners in Japan and you want to divorce, you would be better to do adjudication or the other two, mediation, litigation.
If the couple agree to terminate condition.
Right, right. But if you are perhaps domestic-based people, perhaps you're two Japanese people, you'd probably do by consent. Right.
Yes.
If there's
Really easy.
no need to do anything out of Japan. So again, obviously understanding the processes is very important. Is there anything else here to tell us that I haven't asked you that you prepared or you want to tell us about?
Now regarding the custody, some of my clients, especially male client, husband and father, they pointed out the Japanese court is a tendency to put a premium on the motherhood in terms of deciding the custody. But it's not true.
That's not true. Tell me more.
Yes, because not only the Japanese court, but the court in the world, what they think important is our status quo, the welfare for the children.
Yes.
But if in their marriage life, a mother tend to bear the burden of rearing the child, the court, of course, considers that the status quo in terms of deciding their custody. Because our father doesn't care about the children, that's rearing the child. That is another discrimination. But some of my clients, especially father, the Japanese court is discriminatory to the father. I think it's not true.
I know a lot of, well, I've heard anecdotally, so I've heard about men who are good fathers and have done a lot of the rearing of their children, but they've had a difficult time in front of the court to prove that they have been a very active father and part of the rearing of their child or children. Have you heard about that situation where the father is actively involved but still misses out on custody, perhaps?
Yeah, from their perspective, they're very actively participating in the child care for them. From the mother's perspective, it's not true. But our most important thing is the Japanese government finally decided to introduce a joint custody system from, I think, the 2026.
2026, you say?
Maybe at the latest.
Right. So what will that change?
In Japan, before introduction of joint custody system, there's just only single custody. That's why after the divorce, the mother take away the child and hesitate to arrange a meeting, the child visitation with the father by taking advantage of single custody.
Yeah.
I have the single custody. I have the final say to decide everything regarding the child. After introducing the joint custody, basically, even after the divorce, they have to continue to cooperate in terms of rearing the child.
Right. So is that not law yet, but it's going to be law? Why does it take so long?
I think that one of the reasons is our court have to arrange a guideline.
I see.
Come up with a guideline to deciding which are the joint custody or single custody is appropriate for the
And
couple.
who are the guidelines for? The court or for the people?
Court and a Ministry of Justice.
Right. I see, to execute this law, they need to have some guidelines. I see.
Exactly.
Well, I hope they get that done sooner than later. 2026 sounds like a long time to wait.
Sure.
Good. Okay. Well, I just want to ask you one question, and I ask everybody this, it's really to finish the sentence for me, the most important thing that you've learned from your career in this law so far, what is it? The most important thing you've learned in your career in law so far?
Yes. As I mentioned before a bit, personal is political. This is a very famous slogan of the female equal movement in the United States. The personal is a political is a very important saying, a slogan for me.
Yeah, tell me a bit more. Why is that important for you? Or, why is that the most important thing that you've got in your career so far?
Because through my career, I have met a lot of the clients who are suffering from gender-related violence. That is are seemingly the very individual cases,
Yeah,
personal matter.
yeah,
But on the other hand, we, including me and you, perhaps is likely to have the same experience somewhere someday. So behind their individual cases, there is a problem of the male-dominated society entrenched deeply in the Japanese society that we have to change the legal system. We have to change our legal society in order to resolve that individual issue. That means I want to say their personal is political.
I see. Personal is political. Yes, it does make sense. Thank you so much. And I think just before we wind up, future of law, have you got any ideas or thoughts or visions for the development of the law in your field or in general in Japan in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Anything at all about future of law?
Actually, I'm doing the LLM course in Temple University Law School
Oh, good on
to
you.
because I wanted to pass the bar in the United States, in any states, hopefully California,
Wow.
to expanding
Great.
my view and a network.
Fantastic. That's
Mhm.
great. Really good to hear that. We really encourage you. And thank you
Mhm.
so much, Yumi, for today. I really thank you for sharing your insights and
It's
experiences.
my pleasure.
Yeah, before we wrap up, is there anything, any kind of advice you'd like to offer to those who might be listening, facing these difficult situations? Maybe someone's listening or
Mm.
they share this
Mm.
podcast with somebody. Is there anything you'd like to say to those people who might be listening?
Yes, please don't be shy and don't hesitate to come to my office. There are some people or think I have to put together my question before going to the office because lawyer is very legalers and very strict. It's not true. Please come to my office.
Yeah, don't use your energy to think about questions. You're the professional. Yumi will ask you the questions. Just go and make the appointment and get there. And we'll put your office details and your link to your website in the show notes as well, of course. Thank you so much, Yumi.
Thank you.
And as we wind down the episode today, I would love to ask you a couple of other soft questions,
Okay.
right, to wind up. So you've talked about one of your favorite sayings, personal is political.
Mm.
Do you have any other saying in English or Japanese that you like to talk about?
I will try to everything I am curious about.
I see. Try everything
Mm.
you're curious about.
Mm.
We'll do that at the bar next time when you're curious about another kind of
Exactly.
cocktail. Okay, number two, can you share a book that you've been reading or have read recently that you recommend?
I am a big fan of the 桐野夏生.
Kitty?
Have you
Kitty no?
ever the Kiri no Natsu? Kiri no Natsu is
Mm,
a very famous novelist.
mm,
She always pick up the problems surrounding the female, like the
mm.
poverty, domestic violence, and the Toyoka kids, young girl, the prostitute
I
in
see.
Shinjuku or the
Right.
Shibuya. Mm.
And that's in Japanese only?
I think that only Japanese, I think.
I think we need translation of those books.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's a project for someone, definitely. Okay, so if you were not doing the work that you are doing now,
Hmm.
what do you think you might be doing instead?
Hopefully, next in my life, I want to become a member of a cheer girl.
Cheerleaders. You want to be a cheerleader.
Yeah, cheerleader. Yes.
Why? Why? Tell me that. I mean,
Because I
you already are a cheerleader. What you are doing is actually cheerleading. But you want to be an actual rah cheerleader. Oh,
professional cheerleader.
whoa.
Because I love dancing.
Oh, so cool.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I was going to ask you if you could choose the activity you do in your free time. What is your activity that you do in your free time? Maybe it's dancing, but is there something else?
I'll see the movie, watching the movie,
Mm.
Netflix. I'm into the Netflix recently.
Okay, and the last question is if you were given an opportunity to spend a day with someone, so you could spend one day with someone, anyone,
Keanu
who would that
Reeves.
be? Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves.
Oh, you said that in a very I love Keanu Reeves kind of way. Wow. He's amazing. He gives a lot. You know, he donates a lot of his income. He does a lot of support for people without even talking
Mm-mm.
about it. But I heard the other day actually about what the kind of work he does. What is it you like about Keanu Reeves?
He is our superstar, but he is always modest and really
Yes.
polite for everyone.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I've heard. There you go. Well, I didn't know that about you.
Unfortunately, he is already taken.
Yeah, he's taken, but if you had a chance to have a day with him, that's okay. Taken
It's
or
my
not, you're allowed
dream,
to have a day with him. Wow.
an
Let's hope.
unrealistic dream.
No, who knows? You're going to go and be a California lawyer. Who knows? You might come across him. That's my wish for you. Well, Yumi, thanks so much. We've come to the end of our chat today. Thank you so much for saying yes to come on the Lawyer on Air podcast. I know it's tough to do that, but I really enjoyed speaking with you, and it's been great to connect in this way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So if people want to reach out to you to connect and ask you more about your legal consultation, can they do that through LinkedIn, or would we put your office address into the show notes?
Or you can access us through our website.
Okay, we'll put that detail into the show notes. And so everyone, if you've enjoyed this episode and it's inspired you in some way and you know someone who would love to hear it, please do share and give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening to this podcast today. You can also go over to my website. You can leave me a voice memo as well. So please do share the information. That's all from me. See you on the next episode. Cheers, kampai, and bye for now. Thank you so much for listening today to this episode of Lawyer on Air. I really hope that you were inspired by the story you heard and that you discovered something new about women in the law. Please subscribe to the show so that you don't miss future episodes. And if you can think of even just one person to share this episode with, that would make my day. I invite you to connect with me to talk more. Jump on over to LinkedIn or Instagram where you can find me, or send me a message via my website contact page. That's all from me today. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Lawyer on Air. Cheers, kampai, and bye for now.